Assalamu alaikum guys. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today in this video we'll talk about the restoration period of the history of English literature that lasts from 1660 to 1688. Previously we had started the Anglo-Saxon period, then we went to discuss the Norman conquest. Later on we discussed the Renaissance era. After Renaissance, we studied the Jacobean and the Caroline Age, and now this is the fifth video on the history of English literature, which we're going to study about the Restoration period. Okay, so before we get into this Restoration period, let me give you people an overview about the Renaissance era, Jacobean and the Caroline Age. So Queen Elizabeth I died as a virgin queen, and ruling charge was given to James I, who was the cousin of Queen Elizabeth. So after the death of James I, the ruling charge was given to Charles I, who was the son of the James. As Charles I married Catholic women, so Puritans at that time, the government of that time of England, got against of Charles I, and similarly Charles I was executed, so the ruling charge was given to automatically to Charles II, who was the king in the Scotland known as Charles VI, but then coming to England he became known as Charles II. So Charles II got the ruling of the charge in England, and 1660 English monarch restored. Before this restoration period, Puritans used to rule the England. So Puritans were the religious people, and they never even allowed such kind of literature to be published. Like the literature of that time was only used to be some kind of religious touch. It was given to like poets like John Donne and John Milton used to write poetry, for example known as metaphysical poetry, such as the concepts of conceits were used. Okay, so after the English monarch restored, dramas and theatres got banned before this age known as the Jacobean age. Only poems were written which only had the theme of religion in it. And John Milton and John Donne wrote religious and metaphysical poetry. And due to the restoration period, Charles II came and monarch was restored. Now dramas were performed and the background scenario was displayed. Even women were allowed to take part in the theatre plays and performance of the dramas, topics that were considered taboo and were discussed openly through poetry, for example, sex. So Charles grew up in France, and he was a Roman Catholic, and he never followed strict rules and regulations regarding society and religion. Since Charles was fond of arts and told everybody to write whatever they wished to, for example, witty poems, funky, sensuality, and for example, the economic condition of England got stabilized too. So in Jacobean age, drama got banned, and therefore to restore the literature, authors and writers thought to either work on the previous literature or to add innovation in literature, or one should embrace the Gallic model, for example French literature that consisted of satire and parody. So at that time there was no national epic poem of England, and this is what restoration poets used to think. So authors and writers tried to write a national poem, but everybody failed to do so. And the first poet of restoration period was William Davenant. He wrote a poem known as Gondibert, and then John Milton wrote Paradise Lost. There was another author, John Dryden, who wrote a number of works, and people said he copied other works. So there was another lady, female lady, to write fictional work in England, and she was known as the most important writer, the Aphra Behn, who was the first female. So the epic poetry was marked to be Beowulf. So restoration comedies went way ahead and destroyed the dramas mixed with tragedies, comedies, and sensuality. The cheating in married life It included the cheating in married life or consisted of the dirty jokes. So there was a concept of the manner of comedy. For example, the good example of the manner of comedy is The Country Wife and Love for Love. So Victorians criticized the drama of this era, and then political writer of this era was John Locke, uh, who even people used to study in political science as well. So I hope you people have cleared this kind of a concept about restoration age, that monarch was restored, and after Jacobean and the Caroline age, literature got influenced a bit, and poetries like before restoration period they used to write religious poetry, but then later on it got a bit of a shift in it, and then writers had a free will to write whatever they want to write, and then later on historians even criticized their works. So, in the Restoration age, writers used to focus on the satire and parody and the irony in their works. After the Restoration period, we'll discuss about the 18th century, and even in the 18th century, now people used to write novels and dramas openly, and literature got a huge shift. This was all about my video. Thank you so much for watching it, and in the next video we'll talk about the 18th century in detail. Kindly subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you people can get updated. See you guys in the next video. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.